All right, welcome to Book Club. The Buddy Book Club, that is. I'm Dylan here with the son of Adam, who is also the man I fawn over. Keith, what's up, buddy?
How we doing?
You see what I did there with fawn? You know, fawn?
That was nice. The D-Man, the Keith, and the podcast. That's all it is right there.
We're breaking down some bestsellers, and this week we'll be discussing The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, of which I have a hard copy sitting in my hands, by C.S. Lewis. Classic, a literary classic. Technically the second in the Chronicles of Narnia series, but the first one that was released. If you'd like to recommend a book for us to read or reach out to us about any past episodes, you can visit our website, buddybookclub.com, or slide into our DMs on Twitter or Instagram, Buddy Book Club Podcast. You can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, so please download and subscribe. Keith, we got a children's fairy tale here, and we finally found a book that's within our reading level, which is what I'm most excited about.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Is this probably the book slated for the youngest reader? We read Hatchet. That's probably about the same age.
Holes is probably similar age.
Might be a little bit younger, actually, I feel like.
Oh, yeah, I think they're all in the same realm. Yeah. It's probably like middle school book.
I think maybe they're the same reading level, but like Holes is less dark than this, or...
Holes got to deal with like some bigger themes, though.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And kids do die in Holes, don't they?
No, but they are like child labor law issues.
Yeah, no one's getting like stabbed on a stone table kind of thing.
I mean, I did just rewatch first Indiana Jones.
Oh.
And that's a kid's movie, and it'll be rated R at like today's age. It's like there's some gruesome scenes.
Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I actually just recently rewatched The Last Crusade. Such a great flick. Temple of Doom I haven't seen in a while, and honestly I don't think it's great.
Is that the one where they take the guy's heart out?
Yeah, that's what everyone remembers. That's it. And then you can just skip the Shia LaBeouf one, because that one was terrible. It was so bad.
I heard the new one is just mediocre, essentially.
I just remember in the Shia LaBeouf one, it like opens with like a nuclear bomb going off, and he just like jumps in a refrigerator, closes the door, and then like winds up like 4 miles away and like gets out of the refrigerator. And don't get me wrong, I understand that you have to suspend disbelief with Indiana Jones. Like a lot of the stuff is out there, which I appreciate. It's fun. That was like, okay, you just jump in a refrigerator for a nuclear bomb, and come on.
That checks out to me. I don't know. Yeah. What's the issue?
I appreciate just close your eyes when the Ark of the Covenant's open and you'll be fine. You know, that's more my speed. Yeah. Like stuff I don't understand. Nuclear bombs, right. I have a somewhat of an understanding that, yeah, you're probably fucked in a refrigerator. All right, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. We're not talking about Indiana Jones, unless we want to read some comic books, which we could do. But Keith, what do you have for stock up, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe?
Stock up. Heroine?
Oh, go on. Tell me more.
I know it's supposed to be this terrible drug that's highly addictive that ruins lives and whatnot. But is it really that bad? I mean, it doesn't even compare it to Turkish Delight. I mean, Turkish Delight,
yeah.
You get one taste and you're ready to murder your family. You know, you're ready to turn your whole family over. This is just one taste you get of it. My brothers and sisters, I don't give a shit about them. As long as I can have some more Turkish Delight, that's all I care about. They immediately get a look in their eye when they have it, where it's like, oh yeah, that person's dunzo.
They got that Turkish Delight dunzo look.
Cheat, lie, steal, whatever you got to do to get another taste. And instead of chasing the dragon, D-Man, you're chasing the next Thanksgiving dinner. Turkish. All right, I'll see my way out. All right.
Have you ever had Turkish Delight?
Pretty sure I have. It's kind of like I don't think it was called that, but I think it's basically like almost like that gelatin, like sweet candy thing.
Yeah, it's like jelly with like powdered sugar on it.
Yeah, I've had it before. I didn't like it.
You didn't care for it. Yeah.
No.
I was going to have a little stock down to our boy Edmund, so we'll just get this out of the way. Because if you had a witch in front of you, right, she can conjure anything. She asks him, tell me what you want to eat. Like legitimately anything. And he goes for Turkish Delight. Like I know it's a different time period here we're dealing with. You know, we're talking like early 40s, maybe late 30s. I just could think of so many better sweets that I would have. Like just give me a box of Sour Patch Kid watermelons, or like endless Sour Patch Kid watermelons. Like those things just are delicious.
That's like the new Turkish Delight.
Kinda,
yeah. That's essentially what it is.
Yeah, and that's why I was thinking about it, because I was like, what is kind of like a Turkish Delight, but it's so much better? Instead of weird powdered sugar on a jelly thing, you got some citric acid sugar on it, and it has this delicious fake watermelon flavor to it. Like, it checks out, where the Turkish Delight I've had has just been like very meh. But even instead of that, I would personally go more savory. I was thinking it's winter, so I probably wouldn't want like heaping bowls of ice cream sundaes, which would probably be my number one. Just bottomless. They used to have a place by us called Chadwick's. It's closed down. But they had a thing called the Belly Buster, and if you finished it, you like got a prize or something. But it was 26 scoops of ice cream, and like 4 bananas sliced on it, and like all this other stuff. It was like my dream. It reminded me of that scene from Blank Check. They go to the ice cream place, and they just give them the ice cream in like a trash pail. It almost looks like a gardening bucket. And when I was a kid, I was like, that would be the coolest thing ever. Because when we had ice cream, it was like my mom would be like, all right, 2 scoops. Like, that's it. That's your ration.
You want the all you can eat?
I just wanted the all you can eat. I want the all you can eat buffet. What would be your choice for food? Do you think if a white witch came up to you and said, pick any food you want?
The savory department, I think I'd just go pizza. I just think you can't go wrong. But dessert-wise, there's nothing worse. There's literally just nothing worse than when you eat something that's like really unhealthy and it's just terrible. I feel like I've had Turkish Delight before, bit into it, and I was like, that's not really good. They're like, oh, well, that's just pure sugar. You just literally ate a cube of sugar, and you're like, that was that? Like, yeah. You think about like a fruit roll-up, that's pure sugar, and it's kind of small, and it's like crack, It's probably
delicious.
What Turkish Delight should be.
Yeah, exactly.
But that you know, like, oh no, I'm getting my fill here. I'm getting my sugar out of this. Whereas like that thing, you bite into it and you just be like, my teeth hurt from the sugar, but like I don't taste anything.
Yeah, I would honestly rather be like eating spoonfuls of sugar, like straight up.
The one thing I really, really like, have you ever had caramellos?
Oh, have I ever? Yes, big fan of caramellos.
Unfortunately, that's one of those things now, speaking of teeth hurting, that I can't eat because the next day I brush my teeth and they'll hurt because they're like it's too much caramel. They're like, I still eat it. It's kind of like pizza in that same sense where it ruins my stomach, but I still eat it. So yeah, those are the 2 answers.
You like the like almost liquid type caramel as opposed to like a Rolo caramel, which has like a little more chew to it.
Rolo is like gonna stick to your teeth, but you have to like actually pry it off. Like you have to like whereas the caramello sticks to your teeth and it's a good stick.
Yeah, okay. Got you. Because I feel like it's like caramello, Rolo, and then you're getting into like the toffee type caramels, which are like actually really sticking into your teeth. Like they're hard to bite into.
Ghirardelli's too have good caramel ones too.
Oh yeah. I'm with you there. I'm with you with heroin. There's actually a doctor like back in the early 1900s or something along these lines. I think he was addicted to cocaine. And I think they stole this for the show The Nick, the Soderbergh show. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's a good show with Clive Owen. They stole this idea, but there was a doctor who was basically addicted to cocaine. He had a serious problem. And his other buddy doctors were like, we're gonna fix this. Don't worry. They took him away like on a boat for like 14 days and came back and he was totally fine. And lived out the rest of his life as a doctor, no problem. It turns out at the end, what they had actually done was they got him off cocaine, but they got him on to morphine. And like right. Morphine is actually like not supposedly like not that bad for you if you take it appropriately and like dose it out, whatever the case is. So he just lived a normal life as a morphine addict as opposed to a crazy life as a cokehead. So... yeah, this is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, a children's fairy tale novel. All right, my first stock up is Snitches Get Stitches. People always say that, Snitches get stitches, and unless I'm watching Oz, it never happens. Snitches, in fact, don't get stitches, and I've been watching Suits recently, as I've told you before, and there's lots of snitches on there, and they rarely get stitches. They get like a little quip from Harvey Specter, but never stitches. So C.S. Lewis here decided to take it to the next level, and snitches don't get stitches, they get turned to stone, which I appreciate even more. What's up with our boy Tumnus? Mr. Tumnus. Everyone's like, oh, he's a kind fawn, this, that, and the other thing. He just sold out Lucy, like straight up. No questions asked. Had never met a daughter of Eve. I assume in the story, like there's some understanding because they seem to know, everyone seems to know these like ideas, these rules or whatever that govern the land. And they've been living in this hellish winter for who knows how long. And they kind of know, okay, if a daughter of Eve or a son of Adam is seen, it's probably going to be a good thing. And Tumnus is like, nah, I'm selling them straight out to the witch. Doesn't matter.
Wait, he didn't sell her out.
Yeah, he did. He sold Lucy out. I mean, he eventually turned around and said, like, okay, you can get out of here.
He said he was going to, and he was like,
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
He didn't know how bad she was. She could have been worse than the witch. So he's like, oh, you're a pretty good person. Never mind. I'm not going to turn you in.
Yeah, but at the same time, he was
never actually
90% there.
He wasn't an Edmund.
Doesn't matter. I think he deserved to be turned to stone. I honestly think he deserved to be turned to stone.
He got arrested or whatever and turned to stone for not telling. So he got punished anyways.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's what happens. That's what happens.
So just thinking something now is a penalty in your mind?
Thought police. All right?
Oh, okay.
1984. Right. Heard of it? Yeah.
Just that thinking alone is basically frowned upon.
Exactly. And this book does have a lot of Christian underlyings or whatever thing, connotations, whatever you want to say. But I remember when I was a kid, I don't know who told me this, maybe like a CCD teacher, because I grew up Catholic. You grew up Catholic. My CCD teacher in school, I think it was her, always said like, oh, God doesn't listen to your thoughts. It's like what you say and do, you know?
I like that, yeah.
I can think like the most fucked up shit and it's not going to matter, which is fine. Because then I was thinking like, oh, if I thought something terrible, would I then be turned to stone like Mr. Tumnus? So yeah, I think that C.S. Lewis interpreted that God could understand your thoughts, and hence Mr. Tumnus is screwed.
He deserved it. Okay, fair
He
enough.
deserved his stitches. Yeah. What else do you have for stock up?
Stock up letting kids watch brutal murders. So Lucy and Susan are like, oh, this Aslan dude's he seems down in the dumps, and then they see him leaving the camp, and they're like, all right, we're gonna follow him, see what's up. And he turns around, and he's like, hey, you guys can't follow me. And they're like, come on. And he's like, all right, that's fair enough. But here's the one rule. Once I tell you to stop and leave, you got to do that. And then so they get to the place where he's about to turn himself in to the witch and all the kind of gang. And then he's like, all right, stop here and find a good hiding place to watch. I'm like, wait, what?
No, you didn't get it exactly right. He said,
okay.
Stop here. Here's some popcorn, some Junior Mints. Chill out, enjoy the show.
Some caramellos, watermelon, Sour Patch Kids. Yep. And he's like, shit's about to go down. He essentially says that to them. So they watch him get mutilated. They start crying for a full day. He's basically just tortured. No PTSD, no issues. He comes back to life, and they bounce back pretty quickly. No issues, no nothing that, no nightmares apparently later in life.
Yeah, he doesn't even give them like a, hey, just like, it's going to be fine. I know this is going to be fucked up for a couple of minutes, but I'm going to come back. You know, he can tell them. There's nothing wrong with him telling them. It's not breaking any rules with him just telling them that.
Yeah, also, I just don't know why they needed to be there for it.
They need to witness it. I have some questions with Aslan himself, because he also just gives Peter a sword who has no training whatsoever.
Santa.
Oh, excuse me. Santa gives Peter the sword, but Aslan's like, okay, go kill that wolf. Like you need your first blood kind of thing.
Yeah, gotta get it.
How does he know that he's gonna kill him? Like, you know, maybe give the boy some pointers first. He's not a lion who was born with predatory instincts. He's just a boy. So maybe that's a sign that like man is born with predatory instincts.
Do you think he licked the blood off the knife after the first blood?
I have no idea, but Aslan was very serious about him needing to clean that blade. I've never seen a lion more
like,
serious
with your tongue.
about that. Yeah, he's like, clean the blade. Peter starts putting it in the grass. He's like, no. Lick the blood off. Lucy, Susan, come over here and watch.
That's first blood. That's how you're supposed to do it. So that's a throwback to like episode 4. We talked about that.
Did we?
Yeah.
What?
It's a tradition when you get your first kill as a hunter that you would drink some of the blood from the animal. What do you think I was talking about?
Yeah, that.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that, totally. But yeah, it's okay to show your kids horror films, torture, brutal murders. It's going to be fine. They'll brush it off quickly. Not a big deal.
Yeah, okay. My last stock up was shipping your kids out to the countryside, because it worked out for these guys. Were you aware that was like a big thing during World War II?
after we read the
Rose Code.
The Rose Code. Yeah, that's kind of educated me on that, honestly.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It's pretty genius, especially with a small country like the UK. Like, the cities are getting bombed, so you send your kids out to the countryside, and, like, you know, other folks take kids in. And it worked out for Susan, Lucy, Peter, and Edmund here, because they ended up... People say, like, time is the most precious thing. You know, time's something you can't get back. These guys went into the wardrobe, lived an entire life, and a regal life at that, in Narnia, and then came right back out of the wardrobe and they're kids again. So now they got, like, all that experience under them. Yeah. They can live their another full life, or just, like, go, because the professor kind of says you'll find ways back into Narnia. Like, they can just continue to do this thing, like, and jump right back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Mode. Yeah.
A little bit, not bad. So yeah, I dug that. And supposedly C.S. Lewis got a lot of the idea, not a lot, but got some of the ideas for this book, because during World War II, he was harboring some, I think, like, his niece or something like that. I don't know. He was harboring some children, maybe not even related to him. I don't even know the points. I should probably have looked them up. But yeah, so he was, like, keeping some kids and was like, oh, like, kids are pretty cool. Like, I can dig it. And then fancied himself at the professor, I guess, and included that in the story. So okay. I like how you include some real life things in there. So yeah, stock up. You know, if your kids, if there was a war going on, just ship your kids away. Simple as that.
Everyone's like the allegory or whatever for religious themes. Couldn't the witch be Hitler in this instance? You know, like turn everyone to stone and, like, being just a terrible person. Seems like that would make more sense, right?
But she wasn't like, let's kill all the squirrels or something like that. You know. Like, she didn't have it out for, like, one group necessarily. What'd you ever stock down?
Stock down wardrobes and closets.
Wait, wardrobes and closets?
Yeah, both of them. Because I didn't. When I was a kid, I didn't know the difference. I really don't know the difference now. Honestly, I'm not really sure the difference.
Wardrobe's like a piece of furniture,
right?
As opposed to
as a kid, I didn't understand that. But this is the first book I ever remember being read to.
I was going to ask you that, because I think it's up there for me too. Like, besides, like, a children's book, like a kid's book or whatever.
Yeah, right. It had a very big impact on me, because I remember distinctly every closet that was big. I mean, because I don't think I've ever even witnessed a wardrobe now that I think about it. But every closet that was like a closet you could, like, walk into, or a walk-in closet, I was always looking for the fucking Narnia. I was always in the back being like, all right, it's probably going to open up here at some point, you know?
Yeah, nice.
And nothing has been more disappointing to me in my life than realizing there is no Narnia. Like, I haven't been able to get into it.
Yeah, that's the right answer.
It's bullshit. I don't like hanging up clothes to this day. My first two apartments didn't even have closets. I probably got rid of this when I was like 6, and ever since then I've just been been upset about closets and in general wardrobes. So stock down to both those things. Fuck them.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you said, like, Narnia doesn't exist, and then you know, changed it to, like, you haven't found it yet, which I appreciate. Well, we also talked about it in the last episode when people come at you and say, like, oh, I'm in a time loop or whatever, and you'd immediately be like, nah, that's just not possible, whatever the case was. Professor is the opposite way.
Oh, yeah. The press is awesome.
The kids run to him like, oh, like, Lucy's making up stories. And it's like, no, let's talk about logic here. Like, does Lucy lie? It's like, no, she never lies. It's like, okay, does Edmund lie? It's like, yeah, he lies all the time. It's like, cool, Narnia exists. Simple as that. What do you need?
The professor was the best. Yeah, I had the exact same point. It was like, it's so refreshing to find a character that's like, I think that checks out to me. Like, yeah, I don't care that you're kids. I don't care about any of this. All checks out.
Because, like, at the end, when they're telling him the whole story and he believes them, he then has all these, like, points about Narnia. Don't look for it. Like, it'll find you. Don't talk about it. All this stuff. It's like, you know, if you were in the know, you could have just told them, like, 100% Lucy's right. Like, I know. Like, you guys are supposed to go back there.
What you don't realize is that this professor is that same professor that was the cokehead that you were talking about, doctor, and he's just morphined out so heavily. He's like, yo, man, I've been to Narnia multiple times, if you know what I mean. He's like, you can't look for it, man. You don't chase it. You just gotta feel it.
Yeah, he's like, just intravenous Narnia all the time.
Yeah.
So my first stock down, and this one's going to be tough for a lot of people out there, but Santa Claus, is he a sexist / misogynist?
Pretty much the same wavelength.
I don't have the quote in front of me. Do you have it?
No, but I just
Oh,
I
shit.
had some issues with his gifting. But go on.
And I'm going to try to find it when you're talking because I have the book in front of me, as I said.
Are you talking about when he was like, "Well, women can't fight"?
Yeah, that's basically the gist of it. He was like, oh, where's my sword? It's like, women don't fight. But then he goes and gives Lucy a dagger. But he's like, oh, no, he was like, Susan, you stayed at the back. And it was like, Lucy, yeah, like, you won't be part of this fight.
You guys can watch brutal torture, but you can't be on the front lines fighting, whatever you do.
Also, like, Santa? Really? Stick to your lane, Santa. All right? You give gifts and bring merriment. Like, don't go setting who can do what and, moral and social guidelines. Like, we don't need that from you. So stick to your lane, give the gifts, and then get out of there. It was a little much. Sorry, Santa. But, I had to say
especially because the hero of the story was kind of Lucy, so it did kind of go counter to what the whole book narrative was.
Yeah, 100%. And Peter's like the guy he's like the Red Ranger who has just no hangout ability. He's just like not a good hang. He seems like he's just like in his own
good hang
thing.
On the Power Rangers. A Black Ranger, obviously.
The Black Ranger was a good hang. Even Billy was a good hang.
Billy, he was too nerdy. He leaned into it way too heavily.
Well, Tommy was definitely a good hang. R.I.P. by the way.
Oh yeah, Tommy was the fucking man. Green Ranger. Oh, when he was a Green Ranger and he was like kind of bad, I was like, bad boy Tommy. I'm like, damn. Tommy's fucking
exactly.
Man.
And he had that dagger flute. Like,
oh god, and he had his own dinosaur, which is pretty fucking sick too.
Well, I think they all did it.
No, all the ones combined together, but Tommy had his own thing that could fight them, like that big one combined.
He was like a pterodactyl, I think.
No, that's the Pink Ranger. Come on, kid, grow up, would you?
Sorry.
Talk
about my girl Kimberly.
Come correct next time. The Tommy had the best weapon too. He had the axe/gun. I was like, so that's the best weapon by far, right? Everyone else had like a bow and arrow or like a sword, and he's like, I can shoot people and fucking rip them apart with an axe.
Is that what he had? Because I thought Zach had the axe.
Who's Zach? Blue Ranger?
The Black Ranger.
No, that's what I'm saying. The Black Ranger.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
yeah,
sorry. You said Tommy. But
sorry. No, yeah. Black Ranger, yeah.
Zach had it nice, for sure. I used the Super Nintendo game is great, by the way. Yeah, Santa, like you said, talk about who's coming correct. Santa, you gotta come correct. Fuck you. I'm out on Santa.
Well, I had the exact same stock down. Mine was more around the gifts themselves. All the gifts were pretty cool, I thought. Swords and shields and healing potions and Felix Felicia, whatever that horn was.
Yeah.
It was like the lucky charm horn or whatever. And then we get to the Beavers, and Mr. Beaver, everything that he has to work on fixed. So he gets the house fixed, he gets like the dam fixed, he gets like all this stuff that he's working on.
He gets time. Yeah, he gets time back.
Yeah. Which I was like, oh, great. So Mrs. Beaver, I assume she's going to get like the pantry restocked because she was cooking and doing all this stuff. All the stuff that she has to do for chores. Maybe some nice winter sweaters, things like that where she could do it. It's like, no. She gets stuck with a fucking sewing machine, so she has to do more work now. I was like, what kind of shitty gift was that? That'd be like giving Mr. Beaver like an axe or something, or to help him build quicker. But you fixed all of his problems. He doesn't have any problems anymore, and now you're giving her more work. I just didn't care for it. I didn't like it at all.
Once again, he's like, all right, male, you can go lounge. Like, you're done. Your work's done. Yeah. Woman, you go back to work. Stay away from the fight. Go back to work. I'm surprised he didn't, because he delivered the sewing machine to her, which was nice. I'm surprised he didn't just, like, plop it on her back and be like, hey, carry it with you. All right? Show your worth. How dare you? Like, where's Mrs. Claus? Is she in a cage somewhere? Like, what is this? What is this depiction of Santa Claus? I just did not like it at all. My final stock down is just standard Christian indoctrination, church and stuff. I hated it. You go there, the 10 gospels, all this bullshit. It's like, oh my God, just get me out of here. Get me to the donuts. Like, just get me to the donuts. They're coming after this thing. Don't worry about it. Why instead didn't they just, instead of the gospel, just read these books or something like that? Instead of doing the story of Christ and all that stuff, why don't you hide it behind some like fun animals playing in the woods? And then later in life, do the Jesus thing so that in your own head, you already have these positive vibes to the idea. And then when they pull Jesus in, you're just like, oh, Jesus is like Aslan. Like, right. That's cool for me. Instead, they just pound the Jesus thing in you and didn't work that way. So I think the better way is to just create children's stories about moral and mythical ideas that involve religion. And then you turn them at some point into like the religion thing, and then people are hooked. Minus Aslan's weird ideas, a couple of them, throwing Peter at the wolf, letting the girls see his grisly murder. I was all in. He seemed majestic and amazing.
Yeah.
And his sacrifice was wonderful. Really good idea. It was cunning in a good way, not in like a weird scheming way. It was like, here's how I can get one up on this witch. Yeah, I think the whole Christianity's got to figure it out. And CCD class was terrible. Instead, just be like, hey, we're gonna read Chronicles of Narnia. I'd be like, I'm in.
Or watch the movies and stuff like that. In the end, be like, oh, by the way, this is how it ties into Jesus, by the way. Yeah. Cool. Everyone be nice to everyone. See you later. That's it,
Perfect.
So we basically want a movie club is what I'm looking at, or a book club. So, all right, makes sense.
For kids to indoctrinate them into Jesus.
Well, it's funny because I was reading the Wikipedia page, the reception. I was like, oh, I'm guessing this had like great reception because it was like ahead of its time, But some reviewers considered the tale overly moralistic or the Christian elements overstated attempts to indoctrinate children, which the whole book is literally about fighting for what you believe in and is good. That's like a good thing to do. Kindness and forgiveness are important. Like, they forgive their brother immediately. It's not like old time Christianity, like eye for eye, like fear God stuff. It's like very like just be a good person and fight for good things.
Yeah, it's not Old Testament, it's New Testament stuff.
This is like every basis of almost every story. So I don't really know how that's necessarily that Christian. Also, the other thing is I watched The Lion King when I was growing up. That was like my favorite Disney movie, that and Aladdin. I wasn't like, holy shit, Shakespeare's a god after I got older and started listening. Like, I wasn't indoctrinated to Shakespeare because of that. Like, that makes no sense, It's just like what you like as a story. Who cares?
You just loved Hamlet after that. There was a point in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe when Aslan takes Peter up and like shows him his kingdom. And it had very strong Lion King vibes going on.
So it's really just like, Shakespeare. That's what it is. All right.
Yeah, because he like takes him up to the top of the mountain and he's like, oh, everything you see here, like this is your
everything
kingdom.
That touches the light.
I was like, fucking Simba, don't go over to the elephant graveyard. Watch out. All right, what'd you love about Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe?
You already mentioned the professor, and that's really my favorite character. You mentioned it perfectly. Like, the last book, they were like, you're crazy for thinking outside the box. And he's like, no, it's crazy not to think that this world exists, honestly. Like, it sounds too real to be true, like not made up, right? He also had an unreal quote. He says, my dear young lady, said the professor, there is one plan which no one has yet suggested and which is well worth trying. Susan says, what's that? He says, we might all try minding our own business. I started clapping. I was like, yes, that's just mind your fucking own business. I was like, I love that. It's just a great quote. So the professor is awesome.
Yeah, I can dig it. Well, my first love, and I think I have to say this and get this out of the way, is my local library. Because I went to get this book on Libby, and it was a wait. And I'm like, it's like a 150-page children's book. Like, I'm not going to get this on Audible. It seems crazy.
Yeah. Here's a little hint, by the way, for our listeners and yourself for future reference.
Yeah.
You can just YouTube these classics. They're all on YouTube.
Oh, good to know. But yeah, so instead the wife and I took a drive down to a local library branch that we hadn't been to yet. It's just like a real small one. Mm-hmm. And it was such a cute little library. Like, it was great. It was peaceful. It was wonderful. There were some women in there playing like mahjong or something. They were playing some sort of like or dominoes or something. I couldn't really tell, but they seemed to be having a ball. And
did you use the Dewey Decimal System?
No, I just looked by author's last name.
No. I don't know what that is, Phil, but I like saying the word Dewey Decimal System.
It was odd going into like the children's section, and we're the only one in the library. It was like middle of the day in the middle of the week, and the librarian's like, can I help you? And I was just like, no, I think I can. I'm looking for a book. I think I can find it. Like, I'm okay.
You had to have the wife come with you for that, right?
Yeah. She's like, you're looking for a book in the children's section? But they also had like, and this is even a small branch, they had like tons of DVDs. They had like Top Gun Maverick and like all like new DVDs, like the Avatar movie and stuff. I was like, why are we paying subscription services? We used to all love going to the movie store as kids because you can like go there, shop around and pick stuff out. The library is the same thing now, but it's free. As opposed to surfing online and being like, oh, what movie are we going to watch? And it happens every night. Like, we're like, oh, what movie are we going to watch? It's like, not this one, not that one. It's like, no, we already have the DVD. Like, we're ready to go. Like, we got it from the library. It's perfect.
So they actually have, like, newer titles. Because I remember I used to go to the library, and I was always ecstatic. I was like, oh, my God, they have movies here? And then I'd go, and it'd be, like, Taming of the Shrew or some weird old movies.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything good.
Mutiny on the Bounty. No, they had a bunch of new stuff, and, like, I just perused through it quickly, and just, like, tons of great movies in there. And I was like, wow, this is sick. And additionally, they also had a whole section of board games which I thought was really fun. I love a good board game myself. And board games are one of those things like you can't try it. You know, you have to buy it or go to someone's house and play it there and then decide you want to buy it. Well, at the library, like you could just go, try it on. If you like it, then you can go and buy it. And they had good ones. They had Ticket to Ride. They had this Dune game that I've heard that's really good. They had Seven Wonders. It's amazing, you know, that these things exist and are free, and you know people don't use them because damn, it was fun.
Let me ask you this: if we could establish a public internet access, so everyone has high-speed access internet. I mean, at this point, it's very important to have. But we had to get rid of all of our libraries, so we cut all the costs there. Would you do that, or would you think that it's better to continue to have the library establishments?
Yeah, I'm a big brick and mortar guy.
Mortar or motor?
Mortar.
I don't know how to say that. Every time I have to look it up, and I work on companies that have brick and mortars.
I just like the idea of going in, and like the tangibility of it makes it really nice. I wouldn't take the high-speed internet thing for that. I would hope there's a way that let's get rid of other stuff besides libraries.
Okay.
What else do you love?
I really like the saying, the beaver is like making something, or I think he provides food, and they're like, oh, this is awesome. This is so great. And he says, merely a trifle, merely a trifle.
Merely a trifle.
I don't know what it means or how it means or whatnot, but that's just a great line. It's like a better way to say no worries, kind of, or like yeah. You're welcome or thanks. So yeah.
I like it as well. I think the last thing I love, just the read aloud ability, if that's a word, and if it's not, I'm inventing it. It's a long word, but the read aloud ability of this book. And it's made that way. It's made to be read aloud. The author who's like telling, like the narrator is like breaks the fourth wall or whatever a couple times, you know, like, oh, this part's too scary, so I won't let you listen to it, or else your parents won't read you.
I like how he's like,
anymore.
I can't describe the people that are there because they're too scary, but here is someone getting tortured and a knife zapped through their heart.
Yeah, exactly. But even the way like the book starts is like, once there were 4 children whose names were Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. Their story is about something that happened to them when they were sent away from London during the war because of air raids. The way it opens, I immediately felt like it was being read to me, even though I was reading it to myself. Like my internal monologue was reading it, and maybe that's because it was read to me as a kid. Yeah. But I feel like this is just a great book to read to kids, not only because it's built that way, but also because there's the perfect amount of options for voices. And I'm a big, if you read aloud, you have to do the voices kind of person. And I like that there's not a ton of characters. So like you don't have to make up a ton of voices. But additionally, they're mostly animals. So you can kind of freewheel it. You know, you don't have to have a specific voice be like, oh, like this is a big, strong, gruff guy or whatever the case is. Like, oh, this is a squirrel. Like this is what a squirrel is going to sound like in my head. So yeah, it seems like a fun time to read. So people with kids out there, if you what age would you say that this is appropriate for children?
I also think you could skip some of the torture scene. So I think you just be like, and then he was killed by them, and then
killed. You know, I don't know. Even that could be.
Well, I mean, then the risen from the dead thing is I don't know what you say after that.
He went to sleep, and then he woke up.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I guess so. I don't remember how young I was when I read this, too. I think I was like 6 or 7, so... And you said you were young, too, right? Like
I was definitely young, but I don't know how young I was.
I didn't think I'd be having books read to me when I was like 10. It was definitely well before then.
Yeah, I'd say I was probably in like 3rd grade or something. That's like 8, 9...
It is interesting that both of us had this book read to us, and both of us are now really into fantasy, as well as hard drugs. So yeah, I think that's really
and furries, which is weird. Did you have anything else for love?
Just that we wanted to say that it held up fantasy-wise. I thought it was pretty impressive to go back and read it. Even though it's a kid's book, it definitely held up, and it did kind of remind me a little bit of Lord of the Flies in terms of the writing style. But
yeah, it definitely holds up. All right, what about hates?
The ending, and it was just a shorter book overall. I think most times I like say books are too long. I think this one could have been an hour longer. Maybe the ending a little bit more robust. It seemed like it wrapped up pretty quickly, and they're like, and then 30 years later, they're still that. You know, there's just kind of like jumped times and things. So it just seems to speed up really quickly, which sometimes it's good. And this, I was like, I could have gone for another. You know, I'm already invested at this point. You know, might as well make this a little bit longer.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It didn't go super fast until like the stone table situation. And then after Aslan gets resurrected it was like on hyper speed. The battle is like 2 pages.
I had to
maybe
rewind
tops.
multiple times the witch dying because I didn't catch that. I read a sentence. I was like, and then the witch is dead. I was like, wait, when did that happen? Like I thought they were fighting still. What?
Like Aslan jumps in and like fights her, but they don't say anything. They're just like, he ran after her, and then it's like, yeah, the witch was dead, so they all ran away. It's like, wait, what? What happened?
Yeah.
What? So yeah, and then after that, it was like, now they're kings and queens. They walk through the woods. White stag. Back in thing. Professor says, "What's up?" It's like, oh, shit. So yeah, I agree. It wrapped up rather quickly. That was really mine. Was just how quickly it wound down. I thought it ended well, and it did make me interested to see like what other adventures they would have in Narnia, because they do mention these other lands and like other stuff going on. So I dug that. I guess I didn't really understand the difference between a fawn and a satyr after our Percy Jackson situation. I was a bit confused.
Yeah, well, we know the difference. Trust me.
So I Googled it, and fawns born with horns, satyrs have to earn them. Okay, simple enough. Fawns are Greek, satyrs are Roman. Fawns are more foolish and carefree, which I didn't feel like Mr. Tumnus was that carefree, considering he tried to screw Lucy over. Definitely foolish in that regard. Satyrs often possess more intelligence, definitely smarter than Mr. Tumnus, who tried to screw over a child. But the key difference is that satyrs are, and I quote, often womanizers with their big old donkey dicks. Gotcha. Gotcha. All right, checks out.
What's the satyrs from Percy Jackson? They like apparently have a full erection at all times or something. What is it?
I forget. It was honestly just like super creepy when I read into it. I was like, what the heck? And then trying to tie it to like his buddy and Percy Jackson just gave me all these weird images in my head. So I just moved on.
It's a male nature spirit with ears and a tail resembling those of a horse, as well as a permanent exaggerated erection.
There you go. Yeah.
God damn it.
Perfect.
Classic.
Yeah, so I get why the satyrs are bad in this book, because no way Aslan, Jesus, is teaming up with some satyrs with spears. Well, Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, Keith, would you recommend it to our listeners of all ages? I'm not just saying children's books, of all ages.
I think it's a good entry into fantasy. You haven't read fantasy before. If you're wanting to get your mind open a little bit, it's a quick read. I would recommend it and read it to any young kids.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, I agree. It's great. I mean, talk about like it's 180 pages. Get it from your library. Go read it to your kid. It's great. I would say like 10, though. I don't know. Because you got to keep the murder in, you know. But
kids can handle it. They're much more resilient than we're making them out to be. We can't baby these kids these days.
Yeah. So
when I read it, I think it was 6 or 7. What the biggest takeaway for me was that closets should have Narnia in it. Yeah, being murdered on a table, that's normal. We were interested in Jesus getting crucified when you're 6.
Yeah,
so
that's true. That's a good point. That is a good point.
It's like whatever. Yeah, he didn't get thorns in his head. Like, what was this guy, pussy? Like, what's his deal? So.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It was great. It was a fun trip back down memory lane. I used to have all these books. It was fun. And I think if you hadn't read it, it's like, yeah, what are you doing? The audiobook's 4 hours, so it'll take you 3 hours to read.
Yeah,
that's basically
for sure.
The case. All right, cool. What do we got coming up next?
Wool by
Hugh. He's got an alliterative name.
HOWEY. Wool by HOWEY. I thought he was a famous author just because it does sound like a good author name.
Yeah, it's just a good name.
But yeah, there's an Amazon series. We referenced it last pod. There's an Amazon series right now out called Silo. It's the first book of the Silo series. So we're getting into it, and then we're going to probably watch the show too. Or at least I'm going to.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a good idea.
Pick it up. We'll bring that to you next. Everyone enjoy the 4th. I think we're releasing this on the 4th. So, yep.
Yeah, giddy up. Enjoy the 4th. I'm excited for Wool. This is right up your alley. So dystopian bullshit. I love it.
It's not bullshit. It's real life, kid.
All right. That's it for Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. We'll catch you next time. Keith, enjoy the 4th.
You too.
All right. Bye now.
Bye now.